Hello there, I'm Aaron, Professor Thorgy. You may know me from the videos on my personal channel. And if you've seen any of those, then you know that I'm a geek and proud of it. Now, what is a geek, you might ask? Well, a lot of people have their own definitions, but here's mine. A geek is someone who is passionate about something from the world of pop culture. That's it, there's no membership card, no secret handshake. Geeks are defined by one thing and one thing only. Passion for something from the world of pop culture, or geek culture as it has now become known. Whether it be comics, video games, movies, music, whatever you want. Now when I go online, I see tons of hate being thrown around by people shouting, "That's not what a real geek is. I'm a real geek and you're a fake geek. How many comics and video games do you own? I buy $200 worth of action figures each week, spend 23 hours a day on World of Warcraft, and I can recite the first appearance of every X-Men in the correct order. I'm the realest geek of all." Okay, a few things. First off, stop yelling at your computer, nobody can hear you. And secondly, that's not what a geek is. A geek is not defined by how much knowledge they have of something, nor by how many possessions they own. A geek is defined by passion, by love and positivity. It is someone who likes something and wants to expose themselves to more of it. That's it. Your age, gender, experience, none of that matters. All that matters is if you enjoy something and the idea of experiencing more of it makes you feel good inside. Never played an Assassin's Creed game, but you love watching Let's Players play it online because you dig the world and the characters? Do you like Spider-Man? When you see him, you get a warm and fuzzy feeling that picks you up, but you've never bought a single Spider-Man comic? Then you, my friend, are still a geek. But being a geek can be pretty confusing. Let's say you've always enjoyed a comic book character, but you have no idea where to start reading their series. They've been around for over 50 years with a new issue coming out every month with dozens of storylines and writers coming in, rebooting and changing their history around. So how is a new geek going to get into all of this? Or what if there's a new game coming out that looks like tons of fun, but you haven't played the other 6 or 7 in the franchise and you don't want to go back through and play them all just to understand this one? Well, that's where I come in. I want to make it as easy as possible for people to get into whatever they want to enjoy. So I've started this new show, Geekery 101. Where I'll give you in short, easy to follow videos all you need to know to start enjoying your new geeky lifestyle. New comic coming out? I'll give you the backstory. Complicated continuity? I'll clear it up. And today on Geekery 101, a new series has just started this month that everyone's talking about, Spider-Gwen. Now you might have seen people getting excited about this online and thought, hey, I want to get into this book, but what the heck is a Spider-Gwen? Is that her actual name? She looks like Gwen Stacy. Wait, isn't Gwen Stacy dead? Why does she have spider powers now? Don't worry, because I'm here to clear this all up. Now, if you already have some understanding of this and you just want the quick facts, click here to fast forward right to the end of the episode for the recap. But for the rest of you who want the whole version of the story and everything you need to know, then let's begin. First, let's rewind to the early years of the Marvel Universe. Peter Parker, better known as Spider-Man, had just started going to Empire State University, where he was introduced to Gwen Stacy, both of whom were majoring in biochemistry. Over time, the two of them started to grow close, facing a few tests as Peter began to date Mary Jane Watson, but eventually the two of them realized that they were crazy for each other, and they started one of the most iconic relationships in comics, until Gwen's whole world fell apart, as worlds are known to do in comics. You see, Gwen's father was Police Captain George Stacy, and one fateful day during a fight between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, he was crushed under a pile of rubble while saving an innocent bystander. In his final moments, Captain Stacy tells Spidey that he knew he was Peter all along, and asked Peter to protect his daughter. Gwen then left for London to live with her aunt and uncle, and Pete had to say goodbye, believing that if they stayed together, then he would only bring more misfortune into her life. But after some time apart, she finally returned to the States, and the two of them were reunited once again. Hey, wait, didn't a lot of stuff happen while she was over in Europe? Nope, forgetting that. Nope, none of that happened. Never mind, ignore me! As I was saying, she then returned to the States, and she was finally reunited with Peter without the fear of Spider-Man wrecking their lives. But then, spoiler alert, Peter being Spider-Man wrecked their lives. The Green Goblin, now knowing who Spider-Man truly was, returned and kidnapped Gwen Stacy to the top of the George Washington Bridge and knocked her off. Spider-Man tried to save her, but when his webbing grabbed her foot, it caused her neck to snap, killing her and changing the world of Spider-Man and comics forever. Question, so then how is Gwen Stacy back as Spider-Gwen? How does she have powers now? Is this one of those resurrections I keep hearing so much about? Nope, in the Marvel Universe, Gwen Stacy is still dead. In fact, the editors at Marvel have said numerous times that Gwen and Uncle Ben are probably the only two characters who will never be brought back to life, seeing as how their deaths had such an impact. But that's where alternate realities come into play. You see, scientists have often believed that the world we know is just one of an infinite number of worlds. That every time where you choose to go left, there's another world where you choose to go right. Well, when it comes to comic books, alternate realities have always been a staple. Dozens, even hundreds of alternate realities have been created over the years, with many different versions of our heroes living in them. And recently, Marvel launched a storyline called Spider-Verse, where every alternate reality version of Spider-Man ever created, as well as many new ones, all came together to save the multiverse. Now, there was a miniseries leading up to this event called Edge of Spider-Verse, which introduced us to several new Spider people who would be involved in this event, and in issue 2, we were introduced to Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman. This story took us to a world where it wasn't Peter Parker who was bit by the spider that gave him powers, but instead it was Gwen Stacy. Question, do I need to read Edge of Spider-Verse number 1? Nope! Edge of Spider-Verse was an anthology, so if you buy issue 2, then you don't need to read any issue before it or any issue after it, because every issue was meant to be a one-shot that stood on its own, focusing on a different character. Now I'm going to sum up for you this issue, but if you'd like to read it yourself, well, then good luck because it sold like crazy. It went to a first, second, third, and even fourth printing, and they've all sold out all over the world. Which is great news for her, but it makes it hard for you if you want to read it. But fear not, if you still want to read this issue, then I've included a link in the descriptions below of where you can buy a digital copy on Comixology. Comixology, the iTunes of comic books. Hope you enjoyed that free plug, Comixology. Maybe you could kick a few bucks in our direction with a sponsorship. Just saying. But okay, on to the summation. We see Gwen being bit by the spider, and from there she makes herself a suit, and much like Peter did in our home dimension, she decided to use her powers for fun rather than responsibility at first, such as going on late-night talk shows and rocking out with the proportional drumming skills of a spider. Now at home, she still didn't want to reveal her identity to her father, as he was disapproving of the way this mysterious Spider-Woman was using her powers, but aside from that, things were going pretty well for Gwen. Peter, on the other hand, not so much. See, in this world where Peter didn't get bit by the spider and gained superpowers, he was just a lonely nerd who got picked on every day. He finally reached his breaking point and created a serum he hoped would give him powers much like Spider-Gwen. Unfortunately, it ended up turning him into this dimension's version of the Lizard. Gwen stood up and stopped him, but tragedy struck as Peter ended up dying at the end of the battle. His last words, "I just wanted to be special, like you." Now cut to the present where Mayor Jameson, that's right, in this world J. Jonah Jameson is the mayor, has put a target on Gwen's head, saying that she was responsible for Peter Parker's death. The whole town is littered with posters of Parker's face telling people to call the police if they see Spider-Woman and make her pay for her crimes. And Gwen's own father is put on the task force to bring her down. Now in this issue, she's struggling to live as a hero with the cops gunning for her, while at the same time being in a band with her friends called the Mary Janes, with lead performer, you guessed it, Mary Jane Watson. But if that wasn't enough, at the same time, the Kingpin of Crime sends his legal advisor, Matt Murdock, yes, that's right, in this dimension, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, is working for the bad guys, to recruit the Rhino to kill Captain Stacy so that he can get him off the streets, but also so he can get a good word in with Spider-Woman, since in this world, everyone thinks she's the villain. That night at one of the Mary Jane shows, the Rhino attacks and tries to get to Captain Stacy. Gwen suits up to stop him, but afterwards, Captain Stacy confronts her and she's now had it. She can't take being hunted by the police anymore, and she reveals her identity to her father. She says that she's fighting for good, fighting to make a change, and that she learned from the death of Peter Parker that with great power comes great responsibility, and she's not going to let people like the Rhino define what it means to have powers. She's going to fight to stop people like him, even if the police are after her. She then swings off, only to reveal that another Spider-type person was watching her. This is Spider UK, one of the many alternate reality Spider-Men who ended up recruiting Gwen for the big Spider-Verse event. Question, well then what about Spider-Verse? Do I need to read it to understand anything? Honestly, no. I enjoyed Spider-Verse and I thought it was a lot of fun, but if you want to start reading the new Spider-Gwen series, then you don't need to read anything else. In the first issue, she briefly mentions, hey, I met some other Spider people, but that's it. No other reference to Spider-Verse or any other books are made. Okay, got all that? Well, if you're still confused, then it's recap time. Ready? Here we go. Gwen Stacy in our home dimension dated Spider-Man and was killed by the Green Goblin. Spider-Gwen takes place in an alternate dimension where she was bit by the spider instead of Peter Parker, and now she fights crime as Spider-Woman. Peter, tired of being bullied, invented a serum in this dimension that turned him into this world's version of the Lizard and is now dead. J. Jonah Jameson is the mayor of New York City, and he blames Spider-Woman for the death of Peter Parker, and he has the cops out hunting for her. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, is evil in this universe and works for the Kingpin of Crime. At the end of the issue, Spider-Gwen reveals her identity to her father, and now neither of them know what to do with this information. You are now fully prepared to walk into your local comic book store and pick up a copy of Spider-Gwen #1, which picks up pretty much right after her first appearance in Edge of Spider-Verse #2. I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of Geekery 101, and if there's anything you'd like to see me do a future episode on, then leave it in the comments below. If you know people who'd like to learn more about Spider-Gwen and you think they'd enjoy this video, then please share it. You can also follow me on Twitter and Tumblr to give me suggestions for future videos. And if you'd like to see more news, theories, or any other videos from me, then you can click these links to go right to my personal channel. Thanks for watching everyone, and enjoy that Spider-Gwen.